Whoop.
These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
I think we leave that in.
We will.
It's kind of fitting because we are going to complain more about the Twins here on Mackey and Judd, the OG Score North podcast. But before we do, I will say in all sincerity, I am intrigued by a lot of the young players that the Twins have acquired. There's like the macro complaints that we all have, and then there's like the micro interest in, okay, all right, let's see what Austin Martin looks like for a couple months here. And it's going to be interesting to see what the vibe is this weekend at Target Field. Tickets are available, and even if the team is losing a bunch of games, it's still a cool place to hang out. Kind of a mixed bag of feelings for us right now, Dex.
Yeah, go to twins.com to check out the schedule. I mean, look, Padres are here at the end of the month. The Yankees are here in September. The Diamondbacks. There's still some good teams to come and see. So go to twins.com. You can go to the My Twins membership. You can check out the promotions that are happening too. Still one of the best places to walk around and enjoy a cold one. So go to twins.com to learn more.
Also, a shout out to Federated Mutual Insurance Company. In addition to being a great insurance partner, frontline protection for your small or medium-sized business, it's a great place to work. So Federated is a great place to either start your new career if you are emerging into the workforce, or maybe you're changing careers. Federated hires special driven people who fit the Federated culture. So people who value and exhibit integrity, teamwork, respect, and equity. And they also hire a lot of former college athletes. So if these things describe you, and if you're interested in finding out more about Federated's workplace culture and opportunities, go to federatedinsurance.com/careers to learn more information. It's a statements edition of Mackey and Judd here. And I want to throw this one out at you. Just been kind of thinking about this the last couple weeks, everything culminating at the trade deadline, and just the Pohlad approval rating right now. There's been a lot of low points for it, but this feels like the lowest it's been. I mean, fans are just fed up. They want a sale to go through. And my statement is, maybe it's more of a question, I guess. Are we underselling the Pohlads in the battle for most futile ownership group in Minnesota the last 30 years? Like, Glenn Taylor has taken the mantle in all of these conversations, right? Going back to the Joe Smith under the table contract debacle, botching the Kevin Garnett era, the relationship, hiring David Kahn, the organization botching all these drafts, just the embarrassment after embarrassment. But if you look at, so now the Pohlads back in the Carl days of the 80s and early 90s, the Pohlads brought 2 World Series. So I think that's probably the trump card, like for just the totality of their ownership. Yep. But that was 35 years ago. Since 1991, objectively, the Twins have been one of the least successful organizations in all of Major League Baseball. I floated some of these on the Twin Show yesterday, but just digging around. So since 1993, the Twins have the 4th worst winning percentage in the American League. Since 1992, they have the fewest playoff wins of any American League team with 9. By the way, over half the league has 25. And several teams have 70 or more playoff wins over the last 30 years. They also have the lowest winning percentage in the playoffs of any team in Major League Baseball since 1992. They're one of only 7 teams that hasn't been to a World Series since 1992. They're one of the worst. They have one of the worst records in baseball since opening a new stadium 15 years ago. Not to mention, the family tried to contract the team 25 years ago. And then there's all these like harder to quantify things, like just the connection with the fan base. It's been really hard for the Pohlads to connect with the fan base. And they've tried now for 2 years to systematically tear down the most exciting Twins run in 20 years, right? So all of that put together is a pretty impressive resume in just being a futile organization. So what are your guys' thoughts?
So Glenn is the most incompetent owner I've seen. He is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like sheer incompetence.
yeah, like you could not like Falvey or Terry Ryan 2.0 was not good, but Terry Ryan 1.0 was good. But the Twins haven't ever had David Kahn put in charge because the Pohlads didn't know. Like, they went to the commissioner and Bud Selig said, here's our David Kahn. So just sheer incompetence.
I mean, they did admit after Terry Ryan 2.0
Yes.
that they were thumbing through
Yes.
opposing team media guides to see
But
like
they still
names
haven't
and
but
titles.
they still have not gotten it as wrong. But here's the difference, I think, to contextualize what you're saying. The Pohlads are seen as far more evil than Glenn. They are seen as evil, beginning with, I mean, quite frankly, you know, Carl, it was one thing for Carl in the 90s to pinch pennies, but it's now well documented. He offered up his team for a check back to contract them. That's evil. Like, Glenn Taylor never said, you know what, just screw it, take the Timberwolves and contract them, or hey, David Stern, this club's yours. I mean, Glenn operated in sort of a buffoonish type of way at times, for sure, but I don't ever think he did anything that could be construed as really evil. And offering your team up for contraction is evil. Like, and you know, Glenn also, like, if you want to weigh the scales here, Glenn also never, as far as I can recall, threatened to move the team by making up a guy by the name of Don Beaver in the Triad of North Carolina, who wanted to buy the team, and the whole thing was like Beaver existed, but like it was never going to happen. They were never going to be allowed to move. So like
Beaver.
Don Beaver, and so Donnie. Like they literally were making up we're like you better watch out or we'll and so that was, they couldn't get out of the dome. That was the first thing. But the second one is, I mean, I'm sorry, when you basically tell baseball, take your team back, that's fine, give us a check, we're out. And you are willing to do it, that's a different type of person than Glenn was. So I don't know if and it's why I honestly think, well, the true Wolves fans got mad, okay? But what we're experiencing now is anger, like real anger. And I would say the Pohlads also, because there's different generations, have a different type of flavor. The Carl one, evil, because, again, what he did. The Jim one was sort of it was more Glenn Taylor-like. I mean, he got a stadium, but it was also this just sort of like, da-da-da-da-da, I'm running a baseball team.
Very, like, at least front-facing, very passive. And
I would love to know the specifics of what we're seeing now, boys, but my sense is this is the kids. They're like, we're losing money, we want to sell this team. Like, it makes complete sense. Unfortunately, what Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, said per Bob Nightingale, which is, that Correa contract, you can't have that. You're in debt. And it would be nice if somebody would come out, and I know they're being closed-lip, which I'm not sure they really should be, because I don't know that they're smart enough, but it would be nice if somebody would explain exactly what this debt means. Like, it very much appears this debt is standing in, when the Tampa Bay Rays get sold, right? For $1.7 billion, which is all you want, and they're currently in a minor league park, and when they do go home, they're going to be in a piece of crap, and their fan base compared to the Twins is, you know, I'm not saying the Twins fan base now is great, but it's still there. People still go. You know, the Rays have no real applicable fan base.
Yeah, by every measurement.
So,
by every measurement.
If I'm the Twins, I'm going to come out and just say, okay, here's why no one wants to buy us. At least off the record. Give it to somebody.
So on that point about the debt, reportedly $400-some million in debt that's been accumulated over 2 or 3 decades or whatever, whenever the debt started.
Right.
On the other side of this argument, I think the Pohlads would say, okay, sure, like, you can rip us for some things, but at the end of the day, we went $400 million into debt to put this team out year after year for you. We lost money, we took on debt, and you are unappreciative a-hole fans and media, and you get what you deserve, which is 10 players gone in 24 hours on Thursday.
Yes, but that's what, again, on or off the record, somebody explain this. Like they do nothing to help themselves. Now, my sense is what we have here, though, is the handoff of the baton in the relay race, okay? So my guess is, and again, no one explains it, so I'm going to guess. My guess is that Jim Pohlad was the one that employed people through COVID, which, by the way, that's great.
It's awesome.
But then they handed it off to what would be the third generation now,
Mm-hmm.
with Joe, who sort of as the figurehead. I mean, clearly there's kids behind the
So
scenes.
Jim is still the controller, but
Yes.
Joe is essentially the family head of operations and more the day to day.
It feels like Jim pieced out. So it feels like
Well,
Jim
publicly.
But my point is, now we're on to another generation that has no interest in being involved. Like, they want to get rid of the team and they can't because of the debt that Jim allowed. Like, this is all where it'd be nice if they explained. But in short, I think the Pohlads are seen as a far more evil empire than Glenn Taylor ever was. Glenn was sort of seen as more of a buffoonery show in ownership.
Two things. I think it's some of the stuff keeping people employed. They have done a lot of renovations of that ballpark out of their money. They put in a lot of things into that ballpark, and just to keep the lights on too. Like there are things.
That's
there.
great. That's great. But they're billionaires. Like
agreed.
we have lowered the bar so much for like they put their own. Yeah, they're billionaires who own a baseball team and operate a stadium.
Right.
For half the year. Like, they should put their own money into it, for God's sakes. Yes.
In terms of you saying they're the most disappointing major league team, right, in the last 30 years, what was your, I forget the exact words you used off the top.
I said they are one of the least successful organizations in Major League Baseball the last 30 years.
I wrote
playoff standpoint, it's indisputable.
Yep, I wrote underachieving. I think they're one of the most underachieving MLB franchises in the last 30 years. Not just because they've had periods of bad baseball. They have had periods of very good baseball with cornerstone players, MVPs, Cy Youngs, development, fan bases that loved you, a new ballpark. And all they have to show for it from a playoff success point is 2 playoff series wins since you've won that World Series last in 1991. Like the Pirates, to me, they had 10 years ago, they had a little pop up there with McCutchen, who's still there in his prime. But they've largely been a disappointment. The Royals have had bookends of horrible success, but guess what? They went to back-to-back World Series and won a World Series in 2015. This franchise has had periods of being one of the 5 best baseball teams in the entire league, and they did nothing to push their chips in, and they did nothing to make themselves into the conversation as World Series contenders when they could have.
To that point about some of the squandered eras, I mean, that from early 2000s through the beginning of Target Field, Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, MVPs in their prime, some injury issues here and there that threw a couple seasons off, but like by and large, you had almost a decade of Mauer and Morneau as 2 of the best players in baseball. Joe Mauer was never on the field for a playoff game victory. And some of that's okay. Like, some of that goes on the players. And I'm just saying, like, organizationally, the Twins under the Pohlad ownership squandered the Mauer-Morneau era more than the Glenn Taylor era squandered the KG era. Because at least the Wolves went to 1 Western Conference Finals in the 12 years of Kevin Garnett.
And Glenn was, for the most part, one really bad running film. The Pohlads are sequels. There was Carl. And by the way, he did, to your point off the top of the show, Phil, he owned a team for 2 World Series championships. So it's really hard. Like, the contraction thing drags him way, way down. Okay. But then there's the second one, which is sort of the oblivious. So the sequel was the oblivious Pohlads. The ones that look in a media guide to try to find guys to run their team. And the ones that we called cheap. But the third sequel is the vengeance of the Pohlads. And the vengeance is, you think our dads were cheap? We'll show you cheap. And I really think that there has not been, like Joe, I know people know Joe is in charge of the day-to-day, but I don't think there's been enough look at all of the kids behind Joe who clearly just want out. And I feel like it feels like this. And again, if they're not going to explain that themselves, I'll speak for them. It feels like what we've run into is, if you think our dads were cheap, if you think they were cheap, if you think that they didn't do a good job, we'll show you. And it's not they cleaned house. It's how they did it. It's how things have been trending. And it's the fact of you trade Correa and get nothing back, and you're happy about it. So to me, this is the sequel where they decide, screw it, we're going to blow this thing sky high. And I don't know if you can get a fourth sequel. I just hope that we get a sale.
Yeah, it'll be the next 2 or 3 months are going to be very telling in a lot of ways.
When do you think this thing gets sold? I mean, there's a lot of speculation about this, and I don't trust much of it.
The front office sports story that came out, it's like the third time that someone now has reported vaguely that like they're getting a little closer. There's been a tour of the ballpark. Would it shock me if opening day 2026 came along and this was still a Pohlad-owned organization? No. I think they do sell it before opening day next year, but I don't know. It's been a year. It's been basically a year since they announced publicly at this point.
They clearly desperately
that the team is on the market.
They clearly desperately want out. So like that that's the thing. But I think that there is a price point, and I also think that price point has to be met by baseball standards as well.
Yeah.
Like if the kids got frustrated, like take 1.3 billion, I think baseball would be like, you're not taking 1.3 billion. So that would get dicey. I would like to cede my entire time to Declan because I want to hear Declan's thoughts.
We will, because boy, Declan had a weekend. In some ways a great weekend, but a groundbreaking weekend for the Dexter. Let's talk about we had a groundbreaking weekend too. The Mackeys got into a Green Mill pizza. Dim the lights, fire up the pizza cooker, and throw the iconic Green Mill restaurant brand frozen pizza in for 15, maybe 16 minutes. Cut it into squares. It's tavern-style pizza made by our friends at Pep's Pizza. We've talked about Legit Pizza over the last year. They also make Green Mill restaurant pizza and soft breadsticks and sauces you can find at your local grocer. Learn more at greenmillfoods.com. Maybe get that round of golf in before you fire up the pizza cooker. Do it in that order. Dex.
Yep. Or when big life moments happen. Go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time. Go to Golf the Meadows. They got a great patio, too. It's one of the best golf courses around. Their pro shop is stocked up with not just equipment, but apparel as well. Go to Golf the Meadows to check out that tee time. And if you're coming up, for the Vikings preseason game or when the regular season starts, it's just a quick drive down from south of the Twin Cities Metro there in Prior Lake. So go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time. Okay, so not only did I endure a gutting of Twins roster and trade deadline stuff all of last week, which was a blast, by the way. I had a lot of fun covering all that fun stuff. Long days, but fun days. And I'm excited to see what this team looks like going forward. However, on Saturday, and by the way, this was planned for weeks. This was not like sprung on me on Friday night, because if it was sprung on me on Friday night, I might have had a more difficult conversation to have. My wife and I, who are expecting our first baby here in about 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, we were recommended to take a newborn parenting class. And we had two options, okay? We had 3 classes for like 2 hours each. Each class is 2 hours. Or 1 day, 7 hours, knock it all out.
Wow.
1 day. And she said, which one do you want to do? And I said, let's rip the Band-Aid off. I'd rather do this all in 1 day. She said, okay, that's fine. Just so you know, it's 9 a.m. in Plymouth on Saturday from like 9 to 4. Okay, that also kind of does make things, all right, so it's a Saturday.
You mean like that's too early, or it's just like wiping out your entire...
It wipes out your entire Saturday, to me. Yeah. Wipes out a good portion
7
of your
hours.
Saturday.
It's hard to find a 7 hour
7 hour
chunk.
block.
Yeah.
Plus, it's like 30, because you guys are East Metro, so that's like 30, 40-minute drive. And so we're talking like more like 9 hours round trip.
Yep.
Pretty tough to not wipe out a full day. Yeah.
So a 7-hour class, the majority of it of what to expect during labor. We saw videos of what a vaginal birth and what a cesarean birth would look like. So I got to see all those videos.
Like full on videos.
Full on.
Full on.
Full on.
Full on. Okay.
Full on. Full on. Yep.
Full on.
Full on.
Okay.
The whole thing. We learned about, like how to change a diaper and like cues and all that. And by the way, so I'm gonna self brag here, and her too. We have had plenty of experience with changing diapers and babies and I have 7 nephews. My oldest is 12.
Yeah.
So I have been knee deep in a lot of this stuff already without it being my own kid. For the majority of my life, I babysat when I was a teenager and stuff. So like, I am very used to.
You've wiped
that
an
type of
ass or
stuff.
two in your day.
I have wiped plenty of asses, so I know how to do that. But the last 2 hours of the class, so I will say she scheduled this very well. It was like an hour of information, 10-minute break. Hour of information, 10 minutes. So you could like at least stand up, move around. So you're not just like sitting there in a chair for 7 consecutive hours without a bathroom break or without just a mental reset. And we also had like a 45-minute lunch at noon. So like we were able to go and leave and go get lunch for 45 minutes.
Go off campus for a
Was
little
this
go off
before
campus.
or after you saw the miracle of birth?
Because
I'm not eating lunch.
After. The lunch was after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah. But then the last 2 hours was all about breastfeeding, basically, and whether you want it. Also, like that's an elective choice. I feel like it's something too that's very much forced upon people. Like if you don't want to do it, you're like shamed. Which as a male,
It's a lot of takes.
I have no say in this, and I am certainly not going to tell any woman how to go about that because that is not my decision, right?
Yeah.
And I will say, honestly, the learning about labor and even watching the videos wasn't that bad. It was sitting through the 2 hours of the breastfeeding like techniques and tips and videos and all this stuff.
Okay,
Where like at that point I was drained. I was just drained.
Yeah, I love how. First of all, I love how this is being framed as how drained Declan was.
I was
for all of this,
a male,
as opposed to like his 7.5 months pregnant wife.
Well,
Yep.
But wait, 2 hours. I don't have kids, but was 2 hours necessary for like the
No.
breastfeeding techniques and things, or could
No.
that have been maybe shortened to 45 minutes?
That could have been shortened easily to 40. And she mentioned at the beginning of the class, like, hey, throughout this presentation, I will mix in things about. She like gave an outline, what's to expect during hour 1 through 7. And she said throughout the thing, I will mix in things about breastfeeding, but we will wrap our class today with the majority of that discussion about that. But I will say, you could have trimmed out like an hour's worth of time.
Yeah, Judd is known for taking movies that are like too long,
Yeah,
2.5
well,
hours, and saying we could have gotten this done in about 75 minutes. I'd love to see Judd go to work as the editor.
Well,
here.
I have a question off the top about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is it's not an exact example, but when I was a kid at St. Therese in 5th grade, sex ed, right?
Yep.
So the boys stayed in a room and they learned about the boy stuff, and the girls go in a room, and we don't like go to and watch the girl stuff. And like the parenting stuff makes perfect sense, like the parenting stuff. But breastfeeding is up to Kelsey. Like that's not something to your point. You're not going. And so, like, why do you need to watch the techniques?
Because you're like, because you are the life partner.
Yeah, you're
you want to be CC'd on the memo,
Yeah.
No. But if she says, Declan, I'm going to do this, you're like, oh, that's great. And if you want to stand there, but my point is, 2 hours of like the house. I mean, that's
Are you saying Declan should have left for a couple hours?
No, I'm saying that the men should not have to sit there for 2 hours for something that they're not going to participate in, nor should they really have an opinion.
You're supporting your wife, who is. You may have to help with certain things, or be, or have awareness of as we're like out
she can tell you,
or out at a restaurant or something, like be in the loop on the process.
You know what she can do? She can tell you what she needs at the time.
No, that's inefficient now.
Because
you need to be like out in front of this,
you're telling me it's a good use of 2 hours. So you're telling me this is a good use of 2 hours of Declan's time.
Hold on. I'm saying 2 hours feels a little excessive for that portion, but I do feel like both Declan and Kelsey should be present for that portion.
I think that's part of the problem with this country now.
Oh, God.
Is this need to have everybody involved in everything that everyone else is involved in.
Collaboration?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Collaboration?
They're
Collaboration.
collabing.
We're collabing. We're collabing.
Exactly right. All I'm saying is that seems, I mean, heck, 2 hours seems excessive for Kelsey as well. But I think what you should be involved in is stuff that you are going to actually participate in. I think if you feel, and I agree with Declan, it's not your business to tell her, like, and you might have an opinion about it, but it's still her decision.
Okay,
right?
well, you're not participating technically in the actual birth of the child. Should you just, you know what? Listen, I don't want to be in the way. I'm just gonna be.
And by the
I
way,
would-
there was a
yeah.
slide of don'ts to say during labor as the husband.
See, now that's good. See, that's good though.
What was on
Do's
that
and-
list?
Don't say I'm tired. Don't
Yep.
say
That's a good thing.
How long is this gonna take? Don't say. Don't say.
How long is this
a
gonna
lot
take?
of the things that you
Can you
would
fire
think.
up a ball game
Oh,
on the
God.
phone?
Yeah. So
Hey, what's
I-
going on there? Now,
Yeah,
do you
pretty funny.
really need to see an example of birth too?
You know, I
Like, I
thought it
feel-
was helpful. I
really?
did.
Okay.
Because it desensitizes
Yeah.
probably when. Because like if you haven't, I'm guessing like if you haven't seen it, at least a little preview, it's possible you could just be shocked and pass out.
Oh yeah,
in the
you
morning.
got to be
wanna
up by your
prepared
wife's
for
head,
it.
right? Like I'm not
That's
going.
the
I'm
plan. I'm not going down.
yeah,
the catcher's
exactly. So
position.
see,
No.
see, like yes, it helps desensitize you, but you're not. But
Yeah.
it's not like you are. It's not like you're gonna come in with a hot dog, a beer, and popcorn, and be like, "Let's go, push, push, push." You're gonna be up there, like, "Okay, honey, what can I do?"
Yeah.
You're gonna be wiping her brow. Like that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, there was tips and there was things in there that were very beneficial.
I would like to help out
to
with this
learn
course.
and know.
I would
The
like to
course.
help out
Oh,
with the
okay.
course,
Dude,
the
last-
curriculum.
I don't know
last
about
thing,
that.
last thing. The instructor, was it Leslie? I think it was. I'm pulling a Judd here. I think it was Leslie.
It's okay if you don't.
Looked like a
remember.
Leslie. Yeah,
It was
right.
7 hours. You've forgotten.
She has, and I'll disclaim it. She has 11 children. She's not, and she said, I want to make this clear. I have 11 children. Number one, no, I'm not religious. No, I'm not anti-birth control. I just wanted a big family. We just wanted a big
11?
family.
How
11.
how many of those came in pairs or
No twins. She was shocked.
just
No twins.
just 11 grinded
But
out
she
births?
is 6 foot and her husband is 6'5". So she has Viking children, like the largest children
got-
you have ever seen.
She's got a basketball team with a
Yeah.
bench.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I mean, crazy times. And then afterwards, and she promised me, she's like, we can go get a beer. We'll go to a patio afterwards. And then halfway on the way home, I was like, I don't need a beer. I'm gonna need a stiffer cocktail, which is why I tweeted out
Boy.
the picture of the Manhattan instead of a cold one there.
Well,
I
good
love
for
it.
you for
Declan,
lasting.
the main story here is just how gassed Declan was after this
Gassed.
7-hour class. His wife, who's 5 weeks away from giving birth, is,
You know what?
Is
One more. Just trying to get to the finish line.
I feel your pain.
more.
I feel your pain, Declan. I feel your pain. It sounds very tiring. And it's 7 hours on a Saturday, and it sounds like it could have been 3.
Yeah, could have been 4. I think it could
Okay,
have been 4.
Okay, 4 is a nice number. You know, we always...
A
that's
working
the-
lunch,
That's the
perhaps,
problem.
you know.
We always overdo meetings. As a whole, not just this. We always
I agree with that.
overdo
Yeah.
it.
We do.
Yeah,
Dawn and I
usually
had-
your 60-minute meeting probably only needs to be 30, and your
Yeah.
30-minute meeting probably can be a Teams message, quite
Well,
frankly, or a
and the
text
other-
message.
And the other problem too with all of this is it's all sort of classroom stuff, and there's a lot of things like we went to we're forced to go during the high school hockey tournament in '93 to a marriage encounter thing.
Yeah.
That was like a weekend thing.
Yeah.
You know, to learn about marriage and to have couples talk, and it's like, don't give me your playbook. Like my playbook's been much different. I don't need you to
I'll run
tell
my
me
plays the way I want to run my plays. Is that
exactly
what you're saying?
right.
Yeah.
But
My
but, like, the
offensive
problem
system
is,
for
it's
marriage
like,
is a
this
little
is
different.
what you should expect from like childbirth or marriage. It's like everybody's different. Don't waste my time. If I have to do it, just like an hour.
Life advice from the sports dad.
All meetings are too long.
Yes.
I think we
Everybody
can all agree.
overdoes it because they want something. They want to feel like they're doing something.
Yeah. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
But that's great
Mackey
stuff,
and
Dex.
Judd.
Thank
the
you.
OG Score North podcast. See you guys.